Hello, hello, once again. This is our time for some gossip. I'm ready for some more tea. I don't know about y'all, but I've been enjoying myself. This is our third segment that we're doing about the church versus homosexuality. And I'm about to have both of my guests this week, and we're going to be discussing how they have gone through the ridicule and the persecution about being in church and what their life was about during their homosexuality. But more than anything, I want us to focus on how it is that these two young men discuss and talk about the hurt that they went through in the church. So sit back, get ready to enjoy this tea. I don't know about y'all, but I'm enjoying this gossip. Last time I was talking to Mr. Gibbons, I ended by asking you about being born. Do you think that you were born a homosexual, or uh, did you think, how do you think, what did you think? Because like I said, so many people, so many, I've heard so many, I was born like this, and these are the feelings I had these from the time I knew myself. So I was born with these feelings. So I was wanting you to tell me your opinion and what you feel about that.
Like I said earlier, I don't identify with people that say they were born that way. I can identify that the feelings were there young, but again, I was approached young at 4 years old. So I can remember as young as 6 or 7, and my mom can recall an earlier time than I can.
Mm-hmm.
Cause she knew the earliest I was 3 years old. So that baffles me. But like I said, I don't think I was born. To say that you were born imperfect would imply against God would imply that God was imperfect, and I don't believe that.
That's right. Well, one thing I say when it comes down to that, people that saying that they feel like they were born like that, I say just like he told Nicodemus, you must be born again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore you could sit up here and say, well, I was born a homosexual. I don't believe, just like I was talking to Stephen, I feel like that it came from the fact that you were, that spirit
Mm-hmm.
was introduced to you from a child from the
Mm-hmm.
age of 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that spirit, I know spirits, evil spirits, can transfer,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that it came from a spirit being transferred to you as a child,
Mm-hmm.
4 years old, and that spirit began to develop in you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I believe, because I don't believe, just like you were saying, God don't make no mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he made man and he made woman.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't make no man to be no woman, and he didn't make no woman to be no man. God didn't make no mistake. So I believe when it comes down to it, that it has to do with the person being introduced, a spirit being introduced to them from the time they was a child. And so now, Stephen, I wanted to finish up with talking to you about when you were saying that you ended up, your first time that you ended up having to go to prison was because you started doing silicone injections.
Yes, yes, that was.
What brought that on, though?
Um, I think being introduced to the thought of being able to make that money, and I think I let the money part of it overrule all. So I said, well, hey, well, I've been up the road several times, and I've seen how they work, what they did to me.
So you were getting silicone injections?
Yeah.
Were you having any problems?
Not at the time. When I first received injections, I did not have any problems. The first time I saw the experience problem with silicone injection was the year 2002, and that was this left leg. My ankle began to swell, and I didn't understand it, so I went to the emergency room, and they asked me had I had any injury in the fall, and I was like, no. And I didn't mention to them that I had received silicone injection or anything like that, because I didn't think that was playing a part in it. Mm-hmm. So I had to end up going back after they had given me medication, treated me, and it didn't do any good. So when I went back, that is the second time is when I actually told them that I had received silicone injection, and they did a sonogram, and the sonogram showed that the injections I received in the left leg, being that it was so much that I received, was pressing up against a vein which was stopping the flow of the blood, and this leg was not receiving the oxygen that it needed, and it began to turn dark, and my ankle began to swell. So that's when I started having problems, but I did not allow that to stop me, because even after then, I think I went maybe twice after.
And still got some more injections?
Yeah, I had become infatuated with receiving injections, because I wanted to get to a certain point with my body, so I wanted it fast. So I was not, like I said, I was making decisions and
so
not really
even though
thinking
it was causing harm, did they tell you would it cause you to lose your legs?
No, they never really said that. Being that this is something new, it was something new to FEBA, because they were so unfamiliar with transgender and silicone injection. So it was like, hey, let's just write a prescription and send them on.
So then, what you were saying, you told me after that, you experienced having problems yourself. Mm-hmm. It still made you decide to start doing it for money.
Yeah, because it was an easy way. I felt that it was an easy way, and I felt that I knew what I was doing, and actually I didn't.
Did somebody train you?
Well, no, I just went off my own instinct, because it was more so about the money. You see what I'm saying? And not really thinking that, hey, you're putting people's life at risk, and by not being medically trained and not knowing what you're doing.
So where were you injecting the silicone?
Facial, hip. I never touched anyone's chest. I had people that wanted me to do their chest, but there was a no, because I had learned from people that had pumped me that you needed to be on hormone first to create skin, mm-hmm. to be able to hold the injection. And if you didn't have that skin, you risk the chance of puncturing a person's lung, and silicone would leak into their lung and cause major medical issues for them.
So you mentioned that the guy that you gave the silicone injection ended up dying.
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happened? What caused it?
He had called me on that day and said that he was into doing shows and pages and all that, and that the club owner had a balloon release, and that he had accumulated a large sum of money, and he wanted to come to get his hip finished. He wanted me to round him off some more, and he would be complete. So I was like, okay. So on that day he came. When he got there, he wasn't feeling good. I said, well, we could reschedule. You're not feeling good. He's like, no. I was like, okay. So he sent the people that were with him to go get something to eat. He was like, we can go ahead and get started. So I injected his hip, and I did the first syringe, and when I went to do the second syringe is when he began to pour down, like someone had actually took a cup of water and poured it on, and he began to pour down.
Sweat?
Yeah. And I'm like, are you okay? And next thing I know, his hand went up like this, and he went to trembling and shaking, and he fell back on the bed. And I noticed that he was biting his tongue, so that's when I thought he was having a seizure. So I told the person that was with me to go get a spoon, because at that time, you could put a spoon in their mouth, mm-hmm. to keep them from biting on their tongue. And afterwards, he went to the hospital, and like I said, a month later, which that month would have been December the 4th, because that was November the 4th that I was pumping him.
How did you
So-
find out that that's what it was that caused the seizure?
After being locked up, and like I say, my lawyer discussed an autopsy and everything with me.
So they find out that it was silicone?
Mm-hmm. Because when they cut him open, that's all that was on the inside. And like prior to, like I said, he had already been receiving injections before I met him.
Okay.
And actually, I caught the bad end of the stick. In other words, because whether I would have pumped him or not, he was gonna fall down sick. Not saying that he would die, but he was on that road to falling down, being sick, because he had received so much injection. Like I had received myself so much injection.
So that's why they ended up putting you in prison, because they saying that what you did was what killed you.
Yes, that's what they were saying. And because it's against the law to practice medicine without a license. And then due to other people that I had pumped, they began to come forth and began to say that they had received injection by me, and some lied and some basically told the truth, but they didn't tell all of the truth because they was promised a monetary thing afterwards.
Did you ever get into that scene?
No, Chico was way off the scene. He was gone.
Huh?
He
I was gone.
Yeah, Chico was gone.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened as a result? So you said that you ended up in prison.
Yeah.
For 5 years.
Yeah. I spent 17 months in the county. They gave me credit for that. I was supposed to come home March 2009, but due to them needing bed space, they allowed me to come home December the 24th of 2008. And in prison, I realized that this was God sitting me down. This was God sitting me down because I was doing too much. And being raised up in the church and knowing God as a little bitty boy, and I had to realize and come to the realization that I had to make a decision about my life.
What did you told me something about you met another gay guy in prison that helped you or start helping you to see this?
He poured life into me and encouraged me to get up and go to church service when they had church, and basically taught me the whole prison life, what to do and what not to do. Because even in prison, you have the guys that deal in the homosexual activities inside the prison. And I had boyfriends, prison husband when I was locked up. But I was most so focused on the fact that I needed to get my life together because my life was a shambles.
So what's a prison husband?
It's actually guys that are locked up that go with other guys, and these are and sad to say, it's not guys that have life sentences, but these are guys that are merely just dropping in and going home.
And they live as husband and wife.
Yeah. You get they basically the guys they put claims on you. They come in and.
So did you and Chico have any? Did y'all stay in touch with one another when you was in prison?
No. We had being that we had separated, and I think that really.
Why did y'all separate?
Because Chico had decided to go back to the church. And change his life. So
when you went back to the church, Chico, did you start back in ministry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What all did you do?
I went back forth to start back doing evangelism and prophetic impartations, revivals, whatever pastor they told me to do. I just put my hands to the plow and then look back.
Mm-hmm. So how long were you actually in church doing that?
I stayed in there till 2000 and so my pastor went to prison, but that's a whole other thing.
Wow. So now, when he went to prison, is that what kind of discouraged you and made you want to leave God or leave the church again?
Well, just I felt homeless, you know. No other church didn't fit. It didn't feel right. Just didn't, it didn't fit.
Now tell me a little bit about, you was telling me, y'all was telling me a little bit. I want to discuss a little bit because I want to get into how did you all meet and how did y'all become friends?
We met in 1993 through another friend. It was Halloween, and we would all go out, and we decided to dress up in Halloween costumes, dress in drag, and we did that. And my mom had just bought me this 64 Impala Super Sport as a second car, that was a hobby car, and it was real nice. And I drove it on Halloween. I got it for my birthday that September. And it was real flashy, and so I put a blue hair because car was blue, and took the city by storm. And then I met them downtown, and they jumped in, and we all just, it puts in a mind of our 2-1 food.
Yeah.
Well, we just took off down the highway. It's a classic car.
So you had never seen him before?
No, like I said,
that was y'all first time meeting each other downtown, and y'all just hit it off.
Yeah. We stood there and we talked, and
we had a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so all of us just jumped in. I had some friends from Newton, Georgia, and another friend from the east side I went to school with. So we all just jumped in the car and went for it.
And you stayed there for a while. He was staying when you was still at home with your mother, and he was staying. Tell me about that.
Well, I was still at home with my mama, so he lived there too. She just didn't know it.
we would be coming in, from having a good time, going out partying, and doing what we do when we go out. So it'd be so late over in the evening, till we would just I'd tip in and not make any fuss and get somewhere and just be quiet, be still, go to sleep, and his mom would leave, and then we would get up and do what we have to do. Yeah. And by the time she come home, basically, we probably would be gone.
How long was he staying with you before she
months. She never knew. She never knew he was staying there.
She never knew that he was actually.
No.
So it hadn't. It went. I mean, it could have been going on too long then if she didn't know.
No, she didn't know because my mama worked all. My mama worked all it. She worked 6-7 days a week, 12-hour shifts.
I think when Miss Rosa found out about me is when he was in his own place.
When I was in my own house.
And she just only knew that we were best friends.
Wow.
That we was friends. We was close friends.
So whenever you stopped, what happened? What made you stop going to church?
My pastor went to prison. And I started going to another church and it didn't work out. When another church didn't work out, I just said, you know what, forget
when
that.
When you said it didn't work out, was it because
it's just
people,
craziness, ignorance? Yeah, ignorance and stupidity. And I had gotten so far past that. I said, I'm not dealing with that anymore.
So when it came down to, you just decided that you wasn't going to go to church no more? Wow.
Yeah. To deal with all that, I just say, you know what, forget that. I said, Lord, if you want me to go to church, then you find a church that's going to be decent. I said, I'm done.
So during that time, that's when you were in prison?
Well, yeah. I was,
I sent you that one letter, remember?
Yeah. And I, when I came home, I pretty much had a sense of direction. I did jump back out into the streets again. And what brought it to a final closure for me was the fact that I found out that I was dealing with congestive heart failure. And I had been praying because I was trying to get Social Security. And God blessed me. And because it would be midnight I would be crying on the inside because at that time when I got out of prison, I went back to tricking on the streets.
Wow.
Trying to, that was all that I knew. You know what I'm saying? And I was saying, Lord, I know this is not what you want for me. I don't believe that you sat me down for me to get out of prison and to come back and jump into this lifestyle again. And I knew that was a road of destruction. And I said, Lord, if you could just make a way for me to have finances to be able to help my mother, I give all this up. And my mom called me one Saturday morning, she was crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? So, and I'm at a friend's house. We had just been out, dragging, prostituting, doing drugs, all that. And I'm like, oh, no, let me put my shoes on because I got to go beat up somebody because they messing with my mom. So, I'm strapping up, putting my clothes on. And she come and I dash out the door and run. I'm like, what's going on? Who messing with you? And she handed me mail. And when she handed me the mail, I'm like, what is this? I see 2 blue envelopes. And I'm like, this, what? And I look, and it's actually 2 checks. And that was Social Security. They sent me 2 checks. They didn't send me the letter that they had approved me. How I found out they approved me by the 2 checks. And then that's when I said, Lord, I said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a good time, but I'm not going out to prostitute. I'm not going out to snort no cocaine. I'm just going out to celebrate. And I told my friend, I said, this is it, I'm done.
Wow.
I'm done. God had answered me. So I wanted to keep my promise to the Lord.
To God.
Yeah. And I throwed up the deuces. That Sunday, my mama came to pick me up. I have not looked back.
Wow. How long ago that been?
That's been since 2013.
So, Chico, why did you not, when he got out, why did y'all never hook back up together?
We would speak, but like I said, so much time had passed, and I was doing my thing,
Yeah.
And I sent him a letter when I found out what was going on in the news and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was so disheartened by that, and I said I was so sorry to see what you were going through, because we had been best friends for so long.
Yeah.
And we had grew apart, and I saw him going through the trial and picture in the paper and the murder charge.
Yeah.
And
So y'all grew apart before he went to prison.
Yeah.
What caused y'all to grow apart?
It was that Chico went back,
Like
and I chose to keep pursuing the gay life.
Okay.
And I used to always tell Chico I was mad with Chico for a while.
Why?
Because I wasn't hurt, but I felt like I should have did the same thing, and it would have saved me from everything that I've been through.
So did he not tell you about? Did you not share it with him?
Yeah, but
I told him what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was so, that lifestyle is so addictive.
Yeah.
I had to cut it off completely.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something that you could just like self-deliver from it and go back and say, hey, you have to cut it off completely.
Yeah.
I had to die to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why I had to cut all contact off completely.
With him.
Mm-hmm. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't, before then, had you not ever tried to talk to him about accepting Christ?
No, we knew, he grew up in the church as well. Mm-hmm. He knew Christ just like I did. And so even when I was gonna come back to church that first time, I had talked to them about that. So it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And when that second time I saw a second break, I took it. And I didn't have the time or the resources to try to go back and forth with that lifestyle.
Wow.
And like Chico said, it's something that you have to cut completely off. And for me, it was that Satan kept opening up new doors. The sex, the drugs, the money.
So how did you get into drugs?
Sexing, meeting different guys, being out late at night, keeping late hours, and that, meeting someone that was doing cocaine and they introduced me to it.
So did you ever have a regular job?
Yeah. But before, when we first met, I was working at Long John Silver. I was a team leader on my way to becoming assistant manager. Mm-hmm. And that's the Long John Silver on the east side of Albany, Georgia. But being introduced to the gay life and all that the gay life had to offer, I abandoned my job. Because I was more intrigued.
I was a manager at Winn-Dixie.
Mm-hmm.
I was a front-end manager.
So we were.
And prior to that, I was in a nursing home. I was a lead tech at a nursing home, and then I went to CNS school, and I became an EMT paramedic. So I've always had employment.
Good job.
Yeah, decent job.
So did you ever get out in the, like he did with the prostituting and the drugging?
I didn't ever do drugs. I didn't even drink.
Wow. So you didn't, why did you do the prostituting if you had a job?
Well, at the time I didn't. I wasn't working then.
Okay.
I was too young to work.
Oh, at first, when you did prostitution.
And see, a part of the gay lifestyle is coming in as drag queens. That's that's something that you introduce to. We have what we call gay moms, And with gay moms, you know, they give you the option. Either you hold a 9 to 5 or you get out on the street. But you're not going to lay around and you're not going to do nothing. And that's the way that it was. Yeah. You know, either you get out on the street and work and get money to help contribute to the house, or you get a 9 to 5.
So basically,
everybody had to contribute.
Yeah.
Basically, that what I was talking about when I started talking about that show that I saw, where the young guys would, you know, ended up in this house with these people that was trying to help see about them and take care of them. That's the same thing that y'all did.
Yeah. Because when we were hanging and we was good friends, we were the LeBaron sisters. And that was his house at first, Chico's house at first. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we was known, Chico was known at that time as Madam Patricia LeBaron. and that because...
Where did y'all get the name from?
We would just come up with these names and you know, when
so LeBaron didn't have no... It just was something that y'all...
Yeah, and so...
Thought about top of your head.
Mm-hmm. And when we was out there, actually, Chico had became, out of all the girls that was out there, at that time, in the gay world, he had became the head prostitute. You know.
That's not a badge of honor.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely to glorify, but in the gay world, you see what I'm saying? So, you know.
How did you become the head?
I was a good whore.
You was good at what you did.
Yeah.
Wow.
In flip flops. That's what he's known for, you know.
In flip flops?
Yeah. You was not a good hooker unless you had on flip flops.
So this was back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why did flip flops? I don't understand.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, it's comfortable. Yeah, because you're doing so much traveling, you're doing so much walking. You know, you got
walking high heels up and down the road.
That's the way you down.
How much would you earn at night?
Oh, the money is great. The money is
good money
on a good night.
Yeah.
I mean, guys would just come in and actually treat us like we were real females. So it's like they you know, paying for sex. I
had accumulated what I call regulars.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have to like go walk car to car. Mm-hmm. I had accumulated a clientele.
Yeah.
Like I had people, businessmen and stuff that would come in and give me the money for the weekend.
Yeah. Businessmen, Chico?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I got that title. Because I had got an exclusive clientele.
And he actually pranked me one night with a date, and Chico had got the money and didn't tell me how the date acted. And this is a military guy, so I'm sitting in the car and I'm thinking everything is good, and you know I performed a sexual act on him, but in the midst of performing that sexual act, he grabbed me by the wig. You know, I had a wig and I had it pinned up and pulled me up and he slapped me. And I mean, when he slapped me, my wig completely jumped. So I'm like, should I reach down in my pocketbook, pull out my blade, cut it, try to run, or should I just let this just smooth out because I don't know whether he got a gun or not. Mm-hmm. So he's up on the other end just laughing, kiki and kaka. So I finally get out of the car and I go, and I'm like, you know this. I go to Chico and I'm like, now you know this dude is crazy. I'm thinking that this dude know what time it is. I thought he knew that I was a guy, blah 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 blah. And Chico's like, oh, I forgot to tell you that's the way that he carry on.
Yeah, they paid you the money to beat him.
Yeah.
Say what now? Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Who paid you the money?
The guy.
The military.
He wanted to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
They would pay me for the people that I would give them a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was his way of. I read that was his way of getting off. You know, that's the way that he carried on.
He liked it rough or whatever.
Yeah.
He got somebody who could tolerate it.
So what I did, since Chico pranked me, I pranked my gay mom and introduced her to him, but it didn't go so well with her. Because when he slapped her, she slapped him back.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So it happens like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when y'all just was just out there, I mean, and you had done got a whole name.
Yeah. I started, making money. So I would make other people help other people make money.
Yeah.
And I would sell them and get the money, and then I would give them to them once they got done.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the name Madam came from.
Yeah, that's what.
Wow, that's why they call you a madam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you always gave the person that was doing the service. You always gave them what was due to them, or you kept part of it.
Well, you keep your finders for you.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
So they would come. Would some of them always come to you to get their
If they didn't get anybody by themselves, I would get them, find somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Is you available? They would say yes or no.
So you had people you would just call up.
People would come. They would come. The guys would come and find me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you got somebody? Hey, what you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
And it would go like that.
Wow. I didn't know you had a whole business and everything.
I don't know if it was a business, but it was just survival.
Well, it sounded like a business to me.
Yeah.
Trying to survive.
I mean, the gay world. I mean, the gay thing is just it's a complete different world from the real world. And we have what we call gay family, and as you spoke of earlier, and that is gay moms and gay dads, and these are older gays that take on the younger gays that are just coming out, that are trying to find themselves. And what they do is they nurture you, and they do put good values in you, because they don't just teach you to be a prostitute and that's just it. They teach you how to live, they teach you how to survive, how to be safe, how to get out and get your appointment, get a job, get an education, especially if you're not educated, get back into school. You're not gonna lay here and become a prostitute and you're uneducated. Get into school.
It's really big.
Yeah. Because like with my gay kid, I had a gay kid, I had to stop him completely. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna allow you to get into this because no.
Wait a minute, Stephen. We're gonna wrap it up and we're gonna come back on and let you finish telling me about your gay kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, y'all, this tea getting so good I don't even want to stop drinking it. So, hey, we good. We gonna look forward to seeing y'all next week again on Ready for Some Gossip. Thank you.